Hi, I'm Michael Killen. On this program, two political officials, one from Atherton and one from Palo Alto, are going to share some insights of issues that are facing the citizens of both of those cities. Also on this program, John Stock, he is a geologist and the director of the Innovation Center at the United States Geological Center. He's going to help us understand some developments that will affect all of us. And my other guest is a person who should be honored for her great contribution in helping strengthen the sustainability of Silicon Valley, and she is Marianna Grossman. Marianna, how are you today?
Great. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. And I'm serious, you should be honored. I don't know anyone who works so hard and has developed so many teams and so many projects that help corporations, nonprofits, governments come together, share best practices, and gain insights to help them develop more strategies to help this valley be more successful and greater contribution to the nation and the world. How's that?
Well, thank you very much.
And you have an event coming up on November the 19th at the Lucy Stern Complex in Palo Alto. And I'm very interested in it for a lot of reasons. I'm sure a lot of other people. What is the name of that event?
It's called the West 2014 Net Positive Call to Action.
Net Positive Call to Action. What does that mean?
We're going to be launching a new program we're calling Net Positive Bay Area, and we hope to see many net positive programs around the country and around the world. And what it means to be net positive is we saw lots of activities going on for more sustainability, but they weren't really enough and they weren't really leading up to the kind of impact that the changes to the planet are requiring of us. So we said, well, what if by 2050, 35 years from now, we could generate more renewable energy than we use, sequester more carbon than we emit, and use local water resources instead of relying on imported water from the mountains. And we think this can be done. Silicon Valley is legendary for innovation and really breakthrough thinking and change. And we haven't been very good at actually coming together as a community and applying that kind of ingenuity on our own infrastructure, our own how we work together, how we move ourselves around, how we heat and cool our buildings and operate our businesses. So we think there's tremendous opportunity for business growth and for environmental well-being as a result of this collaboration.
You said a lot. I like it all. I can't hold on to all of it, but it seems to me your group is stepping up the throttle, and you want everyone in the valley to do more, have more aggressive projects, because you sense something is happening.
That's right.
What's happening?
Well, at our conferences, we've invited scientists. We partner with NASA, and this year, the chief of the Earth Sciences Division, Steve Hipskin, is going to be giving an update on what's happening with the climate science. And every year, the scientists do general reporting and say things are pretty tough, but they look at the data, and the data is always much worse than they've predicted. And that means more sea level rise, more heat generally rising, and more severe storms, more drought, more flooding, all the kinds of impacts of climate disruption, which have a huge impact on our civilization's ability to really continue. So we hear that message, and we'll bring the science update into the beginning of our conference, and also the incredible new missions that NASA has to bring technology that supports life in space down to planet Earth. So we'll be talking about that. And we'll be talking about economic development opportunities for green infrastructure. And also, we have a competition. The top 10 solutions that have entered will be able to pitch before some elected officials and some venture capitalists. And we have a mayor from the city of Lancaster, California, in Southern California, talking about how he's making his city net positive.
Okay, very briefly, I hear we're going to get a new update on what's happening in the environment. I hear a lot of people are going to be talking and sharing ideas about new, more aggressive, positive programs that have to be implemented quick. And I hear this is a great opportunity to network with a lot of people and develop new ideas. You forgot one thing.
Well, one of the most important things is that we like to integrate art into our conferences.
Okay.
And
So
I want to say one more thing about that. That when you're talking about technology and policy and science, if you miss this other dimension of who we are as human beings, the arts bring us an ability to see the possibility of the future and to deal with things that are scary and to come together. So we've invited you to show one of your incredible paintings at our conference.
I'm going to show Don Quixote meets climate change, 15 feet. And I'll see you on November the 19th, and I hope everybody else who has interest in gaining new insights on how to do more for themselves and for the planet, etc., is there.
Thank you so much.
You have been wonderful, Marianna. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I'd like to share that, I've announced that I may produce a painting that brings attention to ocean acidification, and I want to share that Brian Schmidt, who is the vice chair of the Santa Clara Valley Water District, and he's up right now for re-election, is the first person who came to me and convinced me that I should work on bringing attention to ocean acidification. And I mentioned that I give him a lot of credit for going out of his way to try to get me to do some more work. John, how are you today?
Michael, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So, John Stock.
That's my name.
And am I correct? You are a geologist. Also, you are the director of the Innovative Center at USGS. Is it the Western headquarters?
Well, that's right. I'm the hood ornament or the bumper sticker, depending on which way I'm going for the Innovation Center for Earth Sciences. And our job is to connect earth science needs, the science needs we have, with the technology, including a lot of the technology that's here in Silicon Valley.
So on December the 12th, you have your annual event where you bring scientists from all over the Western District, and you also enable the public to come in and hear what you folks are thinking.
That's right. It's a wonderful opportunity for folks here in the community to come and explore the role that technology, including a lot of it that we produced here in Silicon Valley, might have on increasing our resiliency to the natural disasters we know are in our future.
And a lot of people think of you as always worrying about earthquakes, but your program is all about hazards. And can you give me the full name or the shorthand, whatever it is?
So the workshop is called A World of Natural Hazards, and the title implies that we have the kinds of hazards that come right to people's minds, like the ones we start off with, earthquakes. That's a big concern for everyone here. There are other slower moving hazards that we're also concerned with that are consequences of climate change, and drought happens to be one of those. So the workshop will cover the hazards that happen quickly. Those can be things like volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis. They will also cover some of the hazards that happen slowly, and something that's familiar to all of your listeners will be drought. We're going through a hazard right now. So we'll try and cover both those issues, and we're excited that you're going to be there as well, along with some of your wonderful work, because I understand that you've got a painting that you may be preparing to help us.
Oh, yes. What you can be sure of is Don Quixote joins California in the battle with sea level rise. That is going to be there, and also probably Don Quixote meets climate change. 15 feet is going to be there, and probably a few others. And I'm really thrilled and honored, and I'm going to give a speech.
Okay.
I think the speech is Don Quixote joins the battle with the greatest hazards of our time. And before I give that speech, I want the opportunity to sit down with you, because you have the science and I just have the intuition. So say again, that event is December the 12th.
It's Friday, December the 12th at our USGS campus in Menlo Park. If folks want to find it on the web, you can type in keywords innovation and USGS, and you'll find directions to that event. We welcome folks to come and listen to experts from around the nation talk about hazards that concern the Bay Area community, and we hope that Silicon Valley will weigh in with some of the technological solutions to those.
John, thank you very much. You've done a wonderful job, and I will see you before December the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, so my next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the former mayor of Atherton, California, and he's presently a councilman, and he is up for re-election. And I want to share, I met him at an art event in Atherton, and he came looking at my art, and I asked him, what are you about? Who are you, etc. And at some point, I asked him, why should people vote for you? And what amazed me was the clear thinking answer right off the top. He said, he impressed me. So, Bill Widmer.
Widmer, yes.
How are you today?
I'm okay, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. And before I ask you why people of Atherton should re-elect you, you know I have a great interest in this thing called greenhouse gases. And what do people in Atherton think about this maybe growing threat of greenhouse gases to us?
Well, we take it very seriously, both the town as well as the individuals. Most of the people in town are they're remodeling or constructing new homes. They're building them to the LEED standards. Within the town, our Environmental Programs Committee, which I'm a member of, just completed our 5-year climate action plan that we're using to incorporate and meet the state's 2020 goals. And we're also, as a refuge diversion town, we've diverted more than 80% of the things that we throw away that do not go into the landfills. They go into recyclables or organics.
Okay, so besides being a councilman and having your own environmental policies, and you clearly sound like you're progressive, promote those, are you on any other environmental organizations outside of the city?
Sure. I'm the chairman of the South Bay Waste Management Authority, which services a 12-jurisdiction area up in San Mateo County. It picks up and processes recyclables and disposes the waste.
So you are as green as they get.
Yeah, we think we're pretty green.
So,
yes.
so having a councilman who has that mentality, that's I think is wonderful. Now I'd like to ask, why should the people of Atherton re-elect you?
Well, any sitting elected official really has to stand on what their performance has been over the last 2 or 4 years, in my case 4 years. Secondly, they need to look at what the platform is and make sure it's right for the times moving forward. And thirdly, do they have the experience to deliver that? So with regards to issue 1, what have I done? Well, when I took the role a number of years ago, I ran on accountability and I ran on financial stability. And at that time, we had over $20 million worth of outstanding liabilities for pensions as well as health care liabilities. We've now cut that down to 8. We've also had 8 years of deficit spending. We now have a balanced budget. Actually, we have a surplus, and we're using that surplus to go ahead and pay for some of the infrastructure that's been ignored over the last couple of years. But moving forward, what I'd like to do is continue the focus on the financial management, look at controlling our operational costs, and fix our infrastructure, because if you don't service that infrastructure, it will continue to decay and it will be very, very costly to repair. So we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to exploit technology to gain transparency for our residents as well as bring them into the meetings. I'd like to establish virtual meetings. We need to maintain safety in the community for our people that live there as well as the people that transit through, bicyclists, vehicles, as well as pedestrians.
You know what really is impressive? When you say all of these things, you say them without even appearing to think. They sound like they've been inculcated into your thinking, your spirit, your emotions, and everything. So you come across very real.
Well, yeah, I'm a business executive, so I'm used to thinking about the numbers and making sure we have a strategic plan to move forward. You know, you have to pay attention to detail, and you have to actually take a hands-on approach. So I've gone on police car ride-ins, and with the South Bay Waste Management Authority, I've gone on trash truck ride-alongs as well and helped pick up refuse on Atherton Ave. I
looked at the Almanac, a newspaper that is delivered in your area, and they say there are no big issues right now vis-a-vis the other candidates. And am I correct?
Well, there are no issues because we've solved a lot of the financial issues, and I think one of the issues could be that everybody wants to now go spend it. We need to not grow our operational costs. We need to make sure that we don't go back to where we were.
So I'm going to end this by saying I endorse you. I sincerely hope you get reelected because you're a good man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. I had an opportunity last week to sit down with Greg Sharaff. He is a former mayor of Palo Alto, and he's presently a councilman, and he is also up for elections. I sat down with him and I asked him a series of questions that were on my mind, and here is that interview. Hi, I'm Michael Killen, and not only have I and my wife lived in Palo Alto for at least 30 years, I have produced over 150 TV shows in our community. And I sense that the upcoming election is important. And so I decided to invite Greg Sharaff, who is a former mayor of Palo Alto and councilman, and he's also running for election in November. And I'm going to ask him a series of questions of basically, why is this election important, and what is he going to do if he gets elected? But before I ask him my question, I want to read something that caught my eye that was published recently in the Palo Alto Weekly. Greg has emerged as one of the council's most confident and assertive voices, taking a leading role in the city's effort to curtail the rising cost of pension benefits. And I assume you must have done something significant to have the Palo Alto Weekly make that quote about you.
Yes, I actually led the campaign to remove binding arbitration from our city charter, which allowed us to make significant changes in benefit and pension reform throughout the city and bring all of our bargaining units along.
You know, I remember a year or so ago, pensions for city workers, municipal workers, was really a major issue. So I guess having helped solve that problem is a nice compliment of your work. So I would like to get right into the meat of this interview. So you're asking the voters to vote for you, and what I would like to know is, what are either the three most important challenges first facing the city, and then maybe what you're going to do about them?
Sure. I think the biggest challenge we're facing right now is parking and traffic congestion.
Okay.
I think the voters are very concerned about that.
All right.
And I've been working hard to address that problem
Good.
for the last 2 years.
Can we come back to that later, but
Sure.
What is the second one?
So I would say the second one is really preserving our quality of life
All right.
in Palo Alto. And the third one I would say is protecting our neighborhoods.
Okay, so I'd like to now go back and ask you to elaborate on, I think you might have said, reducing the parking and traffic congestion in the city. Is that number one?
Yeah, that's what I said.
So now, you've been in the council for quite a while, and I'm sure you and the other members and the mayor have worked or have plans in place, but maybe you could tell me if there are such plans, because I don't look at these things every day, and what have you been doing, and what will you be doing when you get elected?
Sure. I mean, I think there's general frustration that it's hard to find parking and that there's a lot of traffic in Palo Alto. So we're looking at fixing the traffic issues through signalization improvements, through trying to get people out of their cars, through ride sharing. And there's basically, I don't want to elaborate too much, but there's roughly a 14-point plan that we have to reduce traffic congestion and to increase parking. So to increase parking, there's increasing the supply, there's better utilizing the supply we have, and then there's getting people out of their cars through a transportation demand management type program that employers will pay for, which will get people out of their cars.
Okay, now this 14-point plan, you support it.
Yes.
And you're going to help drive it forward.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there are some elements of it that not everyone likes. Would you agree, the voters, or
So
not?
no, I think everyone likes the various plans that we have. I don't think there's been any real opposition to them. I think it's really just coming up with a comprehensive plan that works.
I like what you said. It's good if the people like something, and you're going to push like anything to successfully implement the reducing congestion of parking and traffic. That's one of your...
Absolutely.
Good.
I think the concern among the voters more is how quickly this happens. You know, when you're sitting in traffic, you're frustrated.
Yeah.
When you drive downtown Palo Alto and you can't find a parking space, you're frustrated. And it's how quickly we can get those things in place.
You raise quickly. I drive through Palo Alto almost every day. When am I going to start to see some progress from your work?
You know, it's going to take a little while, but I would say in the beginning of 2015.
Okay. And yes, I want to say, I mean, adults know problems like traffic congestion are not solved overnight. Okay. So I like that. Now, the second goal or objective or need that you said you're working toward is preserving the quality of life in Palo Alto. Now, that's a big statement. And could you shape it for me, help me understand what you're referring to?
So, you know, it's the little things in life that make a difference. We've put Wi-Fi in Cogswell Park, for instance. Hopefully we're going to get Wi-Fi in all of our parks. We've banned smoking in the parks. We're looking at banning smoking in more of our commercial areas. We went ahead and put in a percent for art for new projects so that we'll get new public art projects in all new developments. It's the little things like that in improving the quality of life. And you know, obviously traffic and parking are quality of life. It's increasing our parks. You know, we put in a magical bridge playground for disabled children in one of our parks. You know, it's making those little investments that overall enhance the quality of life in Palo Alto.
So these are all social developments and enhancements to the community. And I like it. And as you know, I'm the artist who joined Don Quixote to the battle of climate change. Right. And so I like that you're put money aside for building projects that include art, which is really very important. So,
and I think I'd like to add one thing to
sure.
that. And it's not just that, you know, take a look at what we've done on climate change, since you mentioned it. We now have 100% carbon neutral electricity in Palo Alto, you know, which is a major accomplishment. And if you combine that with the fact that our rates are 25% below PG&E, and we did this without any rate increases in the last 5 years, that's really a phenomenal achievement.
Yes. And so I want to make a statement about reducing the carbon footprint. And, you know, I've been around Sid Espinoza, former mayor, and Pat Berg, Joe Simidian, and everyone says it is important that Palo Alto be a leader in
combating climate change.
Yes, and it sounds like you want us to continue to be a leader.
Oh yeah, no, I've been working hard on that, and Palo Alto's been responding. We are actually one of the leading greenest cities in America, frankly. We've reduced our carbon footprint a lot. I don't remember exact details, but you know, a tremendous amount.
It's good to be a leader because the rest of the world looks at leaders and they try to emulate them or outdo them. And that's good. And needless to say, greenhouse gas is not just a local state, it's a global thing. We need the rest of the world. Okay, enough of that.
One more point
Sure.
that I think is really useful is that we're actually redoing our climate action plan because we've met all of the goals in the current climate action plan. And you know, it's a phenomenal achievement to have met them this number of years early.
Yes, I'm really, you know, I'm into the climate, so I'm really glad to hear it. So far, I've heard reducing congestion of parking and traffic, improving the quality of life in the city, and we have one other.
Yeah, which was...
So I could call it protect our...
Oh, protecting our neighborhoods.
Protect our neighborhoods. I like all of them. So are there any other initiatives, objectives, things you're going to work toward when you get elected?
Yeah, I think we should just touch briefly on protecting our neighborhoods.
Okay.
In terms of protecting our neighborhoods, I think what we're talking about is from density, growth, a feeling of urbanization, and, you know, also parking intrusion. There's big issues with people parking their cars in people's neighborhoods, and I think we need to resolve that with an RPP, which is a residential permit parking program. and allow the neighborhoods to choose whether or not they want to do that, and that should be in place in the beginning of 2015.
Okay. Reducing congestion, protecting the neighborhood, protecting the quality or enhancing the quality of life in Palo Alto.
Yeah, and then I think you said there was some more. I think there's
Yeah.
probably a couple more things we should focus on.
Like what?
One would be investing in infrastructure. We have developed a plan to fully fund our infrastructure needs in Palo Alto. And that includes getting a new public safety building. Our current public safety building is seismically unsafe. And in an earthquake, that's not what you want going down
Sure,
with your
sure.
police and fire. So it's critically important that we continue to focus on that when we get a new public safety building built, we get new fire stations built, and that we continue to invest on our infrastructure, paving our roads, fixing our sidewalks.
Yeah. And here, you know, I heard the word fiscal responsibility, but you have a plan to enhance the infrastructure of this city without increasing debt and
Right. Well, what we're really doing is taking our revenues and the current revenues, and the only new tax we're suggesting to impose is a hotel tax increasing from 12 to 14%, which is also concurrently on the ballot right now.
Oh, interesting. And that doesn't necessarily impact people who want to come here and stay in a hotel, because this city is a mecca and people have to come here from around the world. And okay, that's good.
So you asked the question about where the money comes from. Back in 2010, 2011, we laid the groundwork. We cut $13, $14 million out of.
Hi, I'm Michael Killen. I think Greg Sharaff is a good man to vote for. Also, I think Bill Widmer is also a good man for Atherton. And I encourage you to sign up for Marianna Grossman's Sustainable Silicon Valley event on the 19th, and come on over to the USGS on December the 12th for a fine event. Again, I'm Michael Killen, and thank you very much.